Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the May 1st, 2013 regular council meeting. Welcome to everybody in the audience and on camera land. And first tonight on the agenda will be an opening prayer from Pastor Hugh Fraser from the Hope Covenant Church.
Thank you very much for inviting me to come to council this evening and lead you in prayer, and to our mayor and esteemed councillors, I would just add a note of gratitude for your service to the people of Strathmore. I know that you must be generous people that come out on a night like this when there's good playoff hockey that can be watched at home, but here you are serving your constituency. Can I invite you, all of us, just into a moment of silence? And perhaps in this moment of silence, as we prepare to pray, you might just bring your thoughts to a place of peace and inhale a deep breath and release it. Our loving Father, we thank you for the tremendous world that you have given us to live in. We thank you for the land we inhabit in Canada and in Alberta. And we thank you for the measure of freedom we have to govern ourselves in a way which respects individuals and makes possible their choices to worship you. Thank you for appointing this group of men and women who have willingly offered themselves to serve the citizens of Strathmore. I pray that their lives may be enriched with some experience of joy as a return for their labor of service. Would you favor them each one with integrity to seek what is best for the citizens of our town? Would you favor them with courage to face difficult and controversial issues? Would you favor them with encouragement as they observe their individual and collective work succeed? And would you favor them each one with humility to learn from inevitable mistakes that occur? I pray for their interaction this evening. Would you cultivate within each one a willingness to listen to the other and to the constituents? Would you support them in respecting divergent views and opinions as a way to discover the collective wisdom that resides within this room? May they also be guided by your greater wisdom as they deliberate this evening and beyond. Through Jesus Christ our Lord we pray. Amen.
Thanks very much, Pastor.
Thank you. Number two is a public hearing, bylaw number 13-08, West Creek Development, Phase 1. The purpose of this bylaw, number 13-08, is to amend the land use bylaw map by redesignating a portion of the northwest quarter, 15-24-25, west of the 4th meridian, plus or minus 4.30 hectares or 10.63 acres within the town of Strathmore from RN1 district to R1S residential small lot single detached district. Are there any confirmation of notices?
Your Worship, all notices will be given in accordance with municipal government act.
Thank you. Report from the planning development representative.
Your Worship, the original area structure plan for this area of West Creek was approved by council in August of 2010 and was amended last.
I don't know if they can. Sorry, can they hear you? Is the mic on? Can you hear back there? A little bit, maybe a little louder. Can you turn it up or closer to the mic? Thank you.
The area structure plan was amended last year in July of 2012. The intent of the amendment last year was to allow in the flexibility within the low density area of the development. The present zoning was passed in January of 2011, and council added the R1S zone last year in July. The developers were requesting a portion of phase 1 to be incorporated with this R1S zoning. This proposal would maintain a variety of housing styles and price options for single-family residential lots in Strathmore. And right at this moment, look, I'm not aware of any valid reasons why I think this bylaw shouldn't go ahead.
Thank you. Any delegations, written submissions, persons wishing to be heard? Go ahead. Maybe you want to grab the mic right out and hold it.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. My name is Marianne Wade, and I'm the Senior Development Manager with West Creek Developments. We are the agent on behalf of West Strathmore Developments, and I'm here before you tonight in support of this proposed rezoning. I put together a small little presentation just to highlight what is happening on this site. First off is just a page on the site context, which outlines the approved ASP area and also the phase 1 area that we're considering. The site context shows the lay of the land with the Wheatland Trail and the surrounding properties, Strathmore Lakes, Wildflower Heights, golf course to the north, and the WID lands to the west. On page 2, the existing land use and phase 1 map indicates the phase 1, which was phase 1 of the ASP phasing strategy. And within it, it shows the phase 1 that has got existing land use on it. If you go to existing phase 1 land use, we zone right into phase 1. And in phase 1, you can see the mix of land uses, which was R1, R1N, and R2. This was the approved bylaw in January 2011. And basically, the R1N had smaller lot widths, which was part of the reason for the land use designation at that time, to try to fulfill more affordable residential lots. Since this time, there has been the adoption of the bylaw for R1S, which was bylaw 1213, done in 2012. And so on this diagram, you see phase 1, and it highlights where the R1S is proposed, which replaces the R1N zoning. Basically, we're left with a 56% single-family detached and 44% single-family detached or semi-detached, which is the R2 zoning. On the second to last page, it says what is being proposed. Basically, what we're doing is we are just proposing to redesignate the R1N land uses to R1S, which only affects 6.3 hectares, 15.6 acres of the phase 1 lands. This land use designation allows smaller lots again and will increase the number of units in the total phase 1 by approximately 7 to 10 units depending on lot widths, be it 34 or 36. These smaller lots will provide even more affordable housing options for the citizens of Strathmore. We are maintaining the green space in the UH land designation. The density meets the ASP of approximately 6.3 units per acre. On the very final page is just a visual example of the 36 and 34 width lots. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Does council have any questions of the applicant?
Through the chair, not to the applicant, but to our planning department. On the last page here, when you look at the distance between the houses, it looks kind of narrow, but has our side yard setback been reduced?
No, the side yard setback continues at 5 feet, 1.5 meters.
Thank you. Not like in other communities where they have reduced the side yard setback. Our side yard setback remains the same as it always has been.
That's correct. It's 1.5 meters.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? Not? Are there any persons wishing to be heard in favor of the applicant? Are there any persons wishing to be heard opposed to the application? Does council have any further questions?
I move the closure of the public hearing, Your Worship.
A minute, I got a couple more.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we can go ahead and go ahead. You move. Y'all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Nothing.
Councilor Markey?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councilor?
Nothing, Your Worship.
Councilor Field?
Just a quick question to admin for later.
Nothing from me, Your Worship.
Administration?
Yes, there's one deletion, and it's number 125, environmental site assessment, recycling facility. That one's been arranged and taken care of, so we need to take that off.
8.4. Looking for a motion to approval with the deletion?
Your Worship, I would move that we accept the agenda as presented, and or sorry, as amended.
Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. 4.1, adoption of the April 17, 2013 regular council meeting agenda, or meeting minutes.
First, I move that council adopt the April 17th, 2013 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Y'all heard the motion? Any questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. 5.1, May 13th, Citizen of the Month.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's my turn this month. And just to start with, I'd advise that in 2011, this council began acknowledging people in our community for going above and beyond and how they support Strathmore by making it a better place to live. My nominee for Citizen of the Month for May easily falls into this category. In 1996, the Musical Arts Group became a society funded by $3,500 town council grant and became dedicated to encouraging culture in Strathmore. Their goal has always been to bring top quality music into a dinner theater atmosphere and to add a social aspect to the functions. The entertainers they have brought to Strathmore over the years are varied, but include Emmy Award winners and Juno nominees. Crowds have been introduced to great blues, and I mean great blues, country, rock, and folk artists. In addition, their policy is to always have an opening act consisting of local performers, including a number of youth, and thereby giving them the opportunity to appear before an audience and demonstrate their talents. Naturally, the Musical Arts Society is made up completely of volunteers, people who spend many, many hours of their own time organizing the 3 or 4 yearly performances. Some of these people have been volunteering in this capacity since the Society's inception. I should note that they're always looking for others to join in on the fun, so if anyone is interested, please get a hold of myself, and I'll get you connected. It's obvious that the Society possesses a passion. They love music, and they feel these performances benefit Strathmore and District and the artists in a significant way. Someone once said that life without music is a journey through a desert. I certainly agree and hope this group continues to bring quality musical entertainment to Strathmore for many years to come. We have a number of members with us today from the Musical Arts Society, and I would invite them to come to the front. President Linda Storkson, Diana Visser, Elaine Rankin, Charlotte Watson, and Rick Stewart. Please come forward, please. So on behalf of council, I'd like to present you with a little plaque commemorating the fact that you are our Citizen of the Month for May of 2013. Thank you very much. And we got to take one picture together, ladies. Well, it's the old one. It'll be the proverbial thorns.
Get them all to shoot.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're gonna cover the thorn between the roses.
Bob, you always get all the pretty ladies.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you. And with that, Your Worship, I would move that council accept the Musical Arts Society as May's Citizen of the Month.
All in favor? Carried. In Canada, Larry Marshall, is it? Yes.
Actually, Mike Forgo presenting.
Pardon me?
Mike Forgo.
Oh. Okay.
Okay,
Come on, Mike.
that's me.
Oh, you're Mike.
Okay, I'm gonna start over maybe.
Yeah.
Mayor, Council, and Mike Forgo, Vice President of Business Services and Stakeholder Relations. I see one of my slides here, so I'll just back that up. There we go. Can you guys see that okay?
Yep.
Okay. If I'm not talking loud enough, I'm usually pretty loud, so. So we've just got a bit of a high-level update on Canada, its operations, sort of abroad and of course in the area, and I'll try to keep it fairly brief. So you're welcome to ask questions as I go, or however you would prefer. I know we're tight for time. And this has been up for a while, so I assume everyone's already read that. So really just our slide on future-oriented information that I may provide, and the outline. So I would like to introduce, we've got Larry Marshall here with us, who I think a lot of you know Larry, who's our Community Relations Advisor for the area. We also have Dave Surface here, who's our surface land lead for the general area here as well. So we represent that. So I will go through just a corporate divisional update, a little bit around our Clearwater business unit, of which Strathmore is part of, and talk a little bit about our ongoing commitments to environment, health and safety, and social responsibility. So a brief update on Encana's portfolio. Really, this is just a map that shows where Encana's active in both Canada and the United States, which are which is where the company's focus is. In the Canadian division, which we represent, we're largely active in Alberta and British Columbia, aside from our East Coast Deep Canoe project off of Halifax, which is scheduled to come on sometime this year. So the different colors on the slides just represent what we in industry and we in Canada refer to as resource plays, and the green refer to more emerging plays. So those are plays that would be more resource plays being developed more in their early life, where they're maybe not quite commercial yet or fully under evaluation. So really just to show that we have a number of activities in the Canadian division. So again, primarily Alberta and British Columbia, our subsurface land holdings are in around 8 million acres. So we are a very large landholder in Alberta and British Columbia, have been for quite some time. Again, that's subsurface, so I always want to point that out. So our focus, so our top priority, and very similar to what our priorities were in 2012, is capital discipline and driving down costs. We continue to live in a low natural gas price environment, and as companies do that produce commodities and have to deal with supply and demand, you have to stay disciplined, and we have to ensure our portfolio is diversified in order to make money and live up to what our shareholders expect of us. So our main focuses have been, we're a really large natural gas player, obviously. We have a long-term commitment to that, and we still maintain some activity in natural gas, but given the ongoing low prices, our activity levels on the natural gas side have been greatly reduced and continued that in 2013. Where our focus is diversifying our portfolio a bit more into natural gas liquids and oil. So something we haven't done much of for a number of years, but we have been active in the area in the past with producing oil. So we have some focus there. Really, again, that's really just that price differential between natural gas and oil and natural gas liquids right now. They provide better returns and keep us in business in the area. So again, I talked about emerging place, so the focus on improving commercial success. Again, natural gas, we're a large industry leader in natural gas in Canada for sure, in North America, and we plan on continuing to be that way for the long term. Again, the pace of activity will be dictated by the prices and where we can continue to produce and still make a return on our investments. So I had just a brief overview overall. So this is our Canadian division, so not the Clearwater area, just or Strathmore, and really just talks about what our forecasted production of gas is for the Canadian division, our liquids. So our forecasted production for gas is to remain in that 1.5 to 1.6 BCF a day. So a pretty large number, which is still growth. So that's still a 10 to 18% predicted growth from where we ended in 2012. A large portion of that, not all of it, a large portion of that though will come from our East Coast operation that comes on stream hopefully sometime in the first half year yet. The significant growth is the focus again on the liquids production. So that represents 30 to 35,000 barrels, and that would be liquids production and oil combined, so natural gas, liquids, and oil. And that's a growth of anywhere from 55 to 80% of where we were last year. So again, the capital focus is on that growth. Where natural gas liquids are concerned, there's still associated gas production that you get with that. So you still do get gas production. Where you're focusing on oil, mostly focusing on the oil product. Our core capital, not a lot of change from 12 to 13. So about $1.5 billion forecasted to spend throughout our Canadian division. So that's in Canada's net capital spend. We also have some partnerships, some joint venture partnerships, and that throughout our Canadian division. And we have a partnership just outside of Strathmore in Wheatland with Toyota Tsusho. And so there's additional capital that's on top of our net capital in terms of overall activity. That's just not represented on the slide.
This Toyota story, could you maybe embellish upon it a little bit more on what it's all about? Just
yeah,
so a small degree.
I sure can. So we last year we came to an arrangement in a portion of our shallow gas area, mainly in the Wheatland area, for a partnership with Toyota. So Toyota's interested in continuing to see production of our standard shallow gas CBM production in the area, and essentially is funding that for a percentage of the production. So what that allows in Canada to do is we get to continue to develop some of those assets in a time of low commodity prices. Toyota provides the capital, and we still continue to grow. So that's a 5-year arrangement. So we're drilling about under that arrangement, we're drilling around 200 to 250 wells a year in that JV area. So in the Wheatland area.
What would that relationship? How close to Strathmore? Or?
That's just east, just right outside of Strathmore.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll touch on that a bit again. I got a slide coming up just to.
Okay.
I kind of did most of it there already, but there it is. So so the Clearwater BU. So that's kind of honing in now on the area that we refer to as Clearwater, which includes essentially it's everything from the southern border, pretty much right up to the Edmonton area. And so it's a fairly large land position, as it notes there, 4.6 million net acres of subsurface land. So it's a very large land position. Canada's had that for a long time. So we have a total of about 11,000 producing wells amongst that. So a really large number of wells. So regardless of our levels of activity, our operation remains pretty strong. So for 2013, so our Clearwater focus again is on oil and our liquids programs, and I spoke about those and the reason why the focus is there at this point in time, and then the Toyota gas joint venture arrangement, which is in the Wheatland area just east of Strathmore. So essentially, in and around Strathmore area, we have no new capital activity at this point in time, but we still continue to maintain our operation. Will it stay like that for a long period of time? Again, that'll be dictated by the by how our capital competes on our different types of plays that we fund. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So really here is just a picture to show. So what you're typically used to seeing from our activity in the area looks like those types of wells. And what you'll see a little bit more of now, and I know that these aren't new, but they will be something newer that you wouldn't be so used to from a Canada. Will be some more of these types, and that's just an example of a type of well where we're producing oil. So we will have multi-well pads where we can, and we'll be working to sort of minimize footprint by kind of using infrastructure, but we're
In this area as well?
Just again, this will be nothing right in this area. This is all in pretty much in that same area east. So right through that wheatland area, that's the focus area for 2013 at this point in time. Of course, anything's subject to change pending, market environments and that sort of thing. Quickly a little bit. So this is the talks to the North American natural gas market, and really just wanted to show that there's, quite a huge amount of momentum that's been built up for over the last few years on the natural gas side. And when I say that's natural gas side on utilization of natural gas, beyond what we pipe to our homes for our furnaces and our barbecues and our ranges. This talks to the natural gas vehicle station counts. And what most people don't realize is, we're small in Canada, but in North America, they're up over 1,000 CNG stations are in the U.S. And obviously, when you're looking at an order of magnitude in terms of population, and they continue to look at opportunities both on your residential type or personal type vehicles, which would be CNG, and of course more of the tractor trailer long haul type situations where they're using LNG, so liquefied natural gas, and that's where the larger market is, and also where we've done a pilot project out at Cavalier, not just east here of Strathmore. So that's basically the growth since 2008, and you've got a lot of the bigger, larger, more integrated players, the Shells, et cetera, that are getting involved both in Canada and in the U.S. and also the big three. So soon to be offering pickups with stock natural gas engines, and even bigger still are all the large equipment production companies that are going to be producing the large natural gas engines for like tractor trailers, heavy equipment, that sort of thing.
So if a person had his vehicle converted now, they would be allowed to fill up at the one north of town here?
Yes. Yes, they would.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a slow, and I just have one more slide that kind of shows that a little bit. So it's a slow growth process in these areas where it's, you're in a chicken and the egg scenario. So you need to have people using it in order to justify building it, but if nobody builds it, you can't have people to use it. So it's a matter of, again, of taking the opportunity on the price, in the long-term outlook for the price of the commodity as compared to the traditional diesels and gasoline prices that we pay, and so the opportunities on the pricing, and of course on the environmental side with natural gas being the cleanest of the fossil fuels in terms of whether you burn it in your house or in the vehicle. So we have the CNG station, and I know some of you, while we're out to that, I know you were, and we recently announced the commissioning of the LNG facility, Cavalier, as I said, and we just opened up a natural gas vehicle, so a compressed natural gas station similar to the one in Strathmore and Drumheller, just recently. So, the infrastructure in Alberta, though it's not big yet, there has been some growth in the area, and really that, we need to get more momentum, and as more players move in, this will, it'll continue to find its way, and Canada will continue to do what it can in terms of that side of the market. I mean, that's not our primary business, but our primary business is being involved in diversification of the resource. Okay, just a couple more slides. Just wanted to mention, it's always a topic, no matter where we go. I mean, we don't do shale gas or that kind of development anywhere near in and around this area. But of course, water management is a big piece of business and important to all of us, from a personal basis, and important to lots of industries, from agriculture through generating power through the oil and gas industry as well. Every year, there's been a lot of continuous improvement and ongoing response from the industry in terms to public demands, public questions around transparency, water protection, and all that. So really, what this shows is this is in Canada's approach, which I have another slide which shows the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers principles, which mirror this fairly well. And CAP is a 500-member organization, and really it's all around the commitment to water, which comes out, which largely really came to a peak out of the hydraulic fracturing conversation that's been going on for a couple of years. So this is, I won't go through them all. You can ask questions on it, and because it would take a while to go through everything that's going on. But these go through right from groundwater testing to the water management strategy around sourcing and volumes, tracking those volumes, reporting those volumes, which we're required to do. The wellbore construction, which we've heard a lot about, how wellbores are protected with the layers of steel and cement. Additive selection. So this was a big one. In Canada itself has a responsible fluid program. So any of the so-called chemicals that you hear about that are used in our hydraulic fracturing operations have all been reviewed through a process that uses third-party data. And that's reviewed to determine whether fluids are fit for use. If they're not fit for use, they won't be used, and if they require controls, how we do that. And as well as we're required now in Alberta this year, and we're a year ago in BC, all of our completions operations, so including anything with that includes completions and fracking, are reported on a public site. So it's called fracfocus.ca. Anybody can log on to that. And the last time I looked, there were some 45,000 operations on that. And you can go in and it lists the water use, it lists whether you're using sand in a completion or the chemicals as well. So again, that's not to talk about whether people still feel there's a risk, but it is to bring that transparency in around what is being used and how it's being managed. Again, the other areas are, of course, the transporting and handling and storage, and then looking at ways where the reuse, recycling, and proper disposal come into play. And you can go on the CAP website actually and see this. I brought one copy. I can leave it behind if you would like. And these are the CAP guiding principles, so that the expectations of companies operating under the CAP banner is that they have programs in place to manage all of those kind of things. They may not do it exactly the same way. Frac Focus is regulated, so you don't have a choice. So not everybody gets to do whatever they want there. You are required to use that Frac Focus site. And that originated in the U.S. So it's pretty broad. As I talked about, we are still, even though we're focusing on natural gas liquids right now, for the most part, other than the Wheatland JV, and that we are looking at ongoing pad development, again, to minimize that footprint. As we figure out and get back into developing the conventional oil game in the area, we'll be looking at maximizing opportunities on the land to minimize the footprint and use as much existing infrastructure, or minimize the amount of new infrastructure we have to put in. And all this shows, and this well pad shows, is where we get to now in typical. So where we're doing more larger operations with horizontal wells, this wouldn't be reflective of what we do in this area at this point in time, but more of those shale gas operations, where industry has gone from what typically would take 192 vertical wells, we do with 12 horizontal wells. from one pad. And that's where the technology has driven itself, and that's been happening over about 5 years. And I know you've heard update presentations before, but so what comes with that is more condensed activity in an area, but much less, one road, one piece site, typically one set of pipelines, rather than a multitude we used to see a number of years ago. Quickly on this one, we never do a discussion, or certainly have a discussion with staff or contractors if it doesn't involve safety. As in any industry, it's our mantra is still, if you can't do it, don't do it safely. And most of our work is represented by done by contractors, probably represent 85% of the workforce. So our programs have to encompass all Encana staff, as well as ensuring that all people that we work with align with those principles. And in 2012, our Canadian division actually had the best safety performance that we've ever had year to date. So that trend would be nice if it could be zero. That'll always be the goal, but it continues to go in the right direction. Our social license, so we've been a member of this community for a long time. And regardless of our level of activity, that doesn't change. How much you see going on around, that obviously changed. And, is a concern for some on the reduced levels of activity, and maybe not for all. Maybe some like it that way. But our key social license focuses are our community relations, which this is part of, coming out and communicating. Our Courtesy Matters program, which is about how we do work on the ground, which is really the important part. The words are great, but that's really what you demonstrate. And we do have an active community investment program that we try and contribute to communities based on their priorities and our availability to that. Again, our Courtesy Matters program, it's been around now for a number of years, since about 2006, since about 2007 or 8 in this area. And we talk about this program every year because and we update the material, and the materials are nice, as I said, but it's really about continuing to work with our suppliers. We do orientate anywhere from 1,000 plus workers working for contract companies through their various meetings around what the expectations are in terms of behaviors, things regarding traffic, dust, garbage, that sort of thing. So that program did get a stewardship award a few years ago. It has been copied under different things by a number of companies and industry associations, and even PTAC has adopted a Community Matters program for their service industry. So I think it's really important. So these kind of programs are great for one company to do, but it really needs to continue to be an industry focus around how we represent ourselves. And this is just really how we manage our community investment. There are just a few examples of some things in the Strathmore area when we up there to fill up some space on the slide. These are our pillars on how we evaluate how we work with our community investment dollars under environment, education, and community life. We do have an online system on applying for grants, and we have folks like Larry and Dave Circus who are more than willing to have conversations whenever.
Well, thank you. Any questions from council? Well, I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself and my fellow councillors and citizens of Strathmore, what tremendously good cooperative citizens you are. Not only as a corporation, but also your employees demonstrate a real liking for the community and involvement in the community. And I want you to pass that on to them if you would.
I really appreciate that. Thanks for having us and letting us update.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, on number 13-08, West Creek Phase 1 Land Use Amendment Bylaw, on page 11. Recommended action. Any questions from council? Looking for a
I would
motion?
move that council give second reading to bylaw 13-08.
You all heard the motion. Any questions? Comments? None? All in favor? Carried.
Your worship, I would move that council give third and final reading to bylaw number 13-08.
Thank you. You all heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Six two, renewal of the electrical distribution franchise agreement bylaw number 13-09. Page 17. Go ahead, Mel.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council. Good evening. The current electrical distribution franchise agreement commenced a 10-year term in 2004. Fortis, Alberta is requesting the town begin the process of terminating the existing agreement and begin the process to execute the new franchise agreement. The bylaw is attached along with the letter that Fortis is requesting that the town send to the Alberta Utilities Commission along with the new franchise agreement. There are no changes to the franchise fee rates contained in this agreement. This is an agreement to operate the existing infrastructure that is owned by Fortis.
Questions from council?
Yes, Your Worship. You can refer to point number or paragraph number 30 in the dissolution. And I have a bit of a history in legalese and terminology, but I cannot, for the life of me, understand what that paragraph is trying to say, and I'm referring to paragraph B.
What page is that?
Page 53 in the, it's page 30 of the package, but page 53 of the of council's package.
I think it has to do with the municipal district was to terminate and be absorbed by perhaps the county. It would carry over.
Okay. So where I was not able to find where the like I'm a little concerned about a 20-year contract in any situation. But if there's sufficient ways to get out of the contract by agreement, then that's one thing. Am I missing that in this package? Does it speak to it at all that you know of?
The term is for 10 years initial 10-year term.
Okay, but how do we get out of this contract if we want
to? Don't know.
Administration.
Should that not be in that contract?
Could be. One of the tough things is there's no other company you can go to.
No, I appreciate that right now, but things can change in 5 years as well.
Yeah, it could do. I don't remember seeing that part in there.
Me neither. And I was concerned also. Has our legal team looked at this? No.
I like Fortis, and I don't have an issue with dealing with them, and I want to continue that. They're a good partner, and they've been good service to us. But for the welfare of the future of this town, I think we have to protect ourselves in regards to an out clause. So I would recommend that this go back through our legal and further discussions in regards to that clause. That's what my suggestion would be.
Is this a standard contract throughout the province, or?
It is a standard contract.
No,
and AUMA was involved in the template to arrive at this contract.
I agree with Councillor Sobel, if we could just maybe get a legal opinion on it. Is council in favor of that?
Yeah, I think that's a great
Well-
idea.
I'd move that we adjourn this a matter until. Is there a date? Is there a time issue on this, Mel?
No, I think we can accommodate that.
To the second meeting in May. So that's the. I would move that we adjourn this matter to May 15th.
Okay, y'all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Bylaw number 13-07 to mill rate bylaw, page 61. Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, Your Worship. In the calculation of the mill rate, the approved budget for 2013 was divided by the total assessable property values. For the school education tax and the wheatland housing, the requisition amount from the requisitioning authorities is divided by the total assessable property values. From a sampling of 21 residential properties that I reviewed from throughout all the communities in the town assessable value decreased by just over 1%, 1.1%. The total property taxes for the same group of residential properties increased by 1.1%. The majority of the homeowners within the town will see an increase of between 1 to 2% on their total property tax bill. I have no other comments.
Any questions
That
from
you don't
council?
need any more comments.
Could you say that a little louder, please?
That's great news.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry,
Great
I have
job.
one
I'm
question
sorry.
through the chair to Mel. Mel, I've gotten a couple of questions on my Facebook page and a message. Do you have figures with you to show property taxes for comparable houses in different areas? There's still this feeling or idea out there that our property taxes are high in Strathmore, and I just don't know if that's the case at all. Do you have any information on that, or could we get that maybe for another meeting if you don't have it?
We could provide that. We did provide that to members of the council in the past from some of the other communities.
Would you mind if we could just get that packaged again, or just another look at it?
Certainly.
Thank you.
You're talking other communities.
Yeah, I'd like to see how we rate or how we compare to other communities, specifically with houses that are, comparable in size and property.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. That'll take out my question later too. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Rocky.
Your Worship, through the chair to Mel, that's fine and dandy to do that, but going back to Councillor Fuel's here suggestion, I mean, not all communities are the same either, eh?
Mm-hmm. No, I realize
so,
that. I think there's just this, if I can answer you, Councillor Rocky, there's just an idea out there or an image that, and I've heard this for years because I've lived here for 30 years, that Strathmore has, one of the problems is high property taxes. And I just don't feel that it's that way, that there are other communities around us that are in similar situations with property taxes, what you pay per year for your house. But I'd just like to get that
I think
confirmed.
we have to stick with this bylaw here, which has nothing to do with that issue.
Yeah.
Sure.
I would move that council give first reading to bylaw 13-07.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I would move that council give second reading to bylaw number 13-07.
Any questions? Comments? Not? All in favor? Carried.
I move that council give a unanimous consent for third and final reading to bylaw 13-07.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried.
I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw number 13-07.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, Page 67, Council Procedure Policy Bylaw number 1103.
You get a mic. Good evening, Your Worship. Administration is bringing forward the council procedural policy for council's approval. The policy was distributed to council at previous meetings and by email. We've had numerous discussions surrounding the policy. The changes have been made to the attached policy in your package tonight. They're indicated in red, and administration is requesting that the policy be approved.
Any questions from council? Not looking for a motion. Oh, Councilor Rocky.
Your worship, going to page 72 in there, meetings, number 5, meetings of council. When we generally, the last 2 years, we haven't had a second meeting in December. Is that just a council decision, or how does that fall into place here?
We can change that by motion, can't we? That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Looking for a motion?
Your Worship, I'll make that motion. I would like to just comment that Ms. Swatsky's been very generous with her time, very patient with a lot of my concerns as this came back to council on a number of occasions. So thank you very much. It certainly looks good now. So I would, with the amendment of including section 5.3, adding July, August, and December, I would then move that council approve the council procedural policy number 1103 with that amendment.
Y'all heard the motion? Discussion? Questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. And, or.
Your Worship, did we rescind that, the
Yeah.
old one?
Do you have to, is that what you're looking for a motion to rescind
Yes.
it? Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead, Mike.
and that council rescind bylaw, 7-11 in its entirety.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Page, water and sewer utility, page 93. Go ahead, Mel.
Thank you, Your Worship. The administration has been asked to provide information on alternative methods of charging for sewer services and to investigate the need to have commercial water meters changed after 10 years of service. The town of Strathmore has encouraged the responsible consumption of water resources. This in the past has included rebates for full-flush toilets, front-loading washing machines, and more recently, the implementation of monthly utility billing will bring a water conservation focus to the customer. From a financial standpoint, the 2013 sewer utility budget for the town of Strathmore has total revenue of $3,391,000 and expenses of $3,769,000, with an operating deficit of $378,000. The EPCOR contract allocated to the sanitary sewer utility is $1,708,000. The change to the method of billing will have a financial effect to the town. The town has passed the budget, as you know, for 2013. With respect to warranties from the water meter manufacturer, they have increased over the last time period, and with the newer models of meters that we are currently using. To amend the bylaw requiring a change of after 15 years of usage would result in the meter still being covered by warranty and having a reasonable level of confidence on the accuracy of the meter. And I had a discussion with a representative of the manufacturer in our office today, and there's a decreased number of moving parts within the meter now. The only concern that I would have would be with respect to the larger water meters that are in excess of 1.5 inches. They can now be tested in line without removing them as far as their accuracy. Corex has not come out with a program yet, but we are anticipating that they will have a program in place in the short foreseeable future to test the accuracy of the larger water meters, which will add an increase of reliability from our standpoint. I have no other comments, Your Worship.
Questions, Council?
Now, we have, pardon me, we have the different options on the next page for billing, alternative billings. Option 1 is the use of a second water meter that would measure the amount of water being applied for irrigation purposes. The Water Utility Services bylaw was amended in April a year ago to remove the second water meter, and all water was being charged for both water and sewer. Option number 2 that's outlined is to provide a summer water sewer averaging credit, and part of the rationale here would be to have the customer certify that they are conserving water through the use of low flush toilets, front loading wash machines, and the collection of rainwater. And then the credit, amount of credit to be determined by council would be credited in the fall after they have applied, and would be applied to their utility account. Option 3 would be to have an entirely flat rate for sanitary sewer charges. The negative part on that is that there's no incentive to conserve water, and the other difficulty would be to arriving at an equitable amount of cost to the commercial user. Also, the property owner that does little or no watering would pay the same as an owner that would have a larger land area and use a significant amount of water. Option 4 would be to implement a sewer averaging for residential customers only. In the past, we have completed some calculations and determined that 130,000 or thereabouts would be the amount of sewer credits that would go to the customers. That would depend on the amount of watering for the particular season. One of the disadvantages of implementing that is for the customers that are absent in the winter months and use no water, then they would have the benefit of very low sewer bills also in the summer, whether they water or not. And option 5 would be to maintain the same method of determining customer charges as present.
Questions from Council? Councillor Sobel.
Well, I don't, I want to actually just talk about the replacement of the water meter, Mel, if I could. So at present, it's a 10-year replacement. Is that residential and commercial?
The town absorbs the cost of replacing the residential.
But not the commercial.
But not the commercial.
Okay. And see, my reason that I wanted this brought up is there are commercial establishments in this location who use next to nothing in regards to water on a yearly basis. Those moving parts are moving very fast, and what you're saying is that if they were to be replaced with the newer ones, then that new meter could in fact go for 15 years.
Yes, if they have half-inch or 5/8.
Half-inch or 5/8.
Using the same size as the residential.
Okay, so and are you comfortable with doing that for residential as well after your discussion with whoever you discussed with today?
Well, the fact of the matter is we're not replacing them after 10 years. It's taken us, even on the commercial, a lot longer than 10 years, and on the residential a lot longer than 10 years. Very few of them do we get right at the 10-year mark. A lot of them are 15 years old.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's how
But some of the commercials are being done at 10.
Not many, I don't think. There may be some where there has been an issue with usage or if there's been a concern. But yes, we have done some after 10 years, but there's a lot that have not been done after 10 years.
So what is your position on changing our bylaw to a 15-year change?
I'm fine with 15 years. For the half.
For the half and 5/8.
5/8. I'm fine with that.
And the other ones can be tested.
The larger ones we need to test.
Yeah.
Good, Councilor.
Question through the chair to Mel. Would you, I've been trying to learn about this as much as possible over the last couple of years. Would you say that option 1 is the most accurate? And if that's the case, how would we get compliance if the cost of the second meter would be $274 plus plumber's costs and up to the customer? That is the most accurate way to do it as far as how much water usage and sewer usage? And if that's the case, how do we get compliance with that? That's what I'm wondering about.
It would be an option for the customer to have the second installed at their expense.
Yeah, and what would happen then if someone didn't?
They still would be charged for the normal sewer charge as at present.
Okay.
So then with through the chair to Mel, with the second meter, excuse me, that could be used for all outdoor watering, and there would be no sewer charge assessed to the reading of that meter. Is that to the consumption of that?
That's correct. The house would have, or the homeowner would have, the flat monthly charge plus the variable charge for the water that's consumed within the resident, and the water being applied for irrigation would not have the sewer charge on it. As long as it's plumbed that way.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So the first year it would be a bit costly to the homeowner, but in subsequent years it probably
would depend on how much watering you do.
So if I may, if 50% of the town went on 2 meters, there wouldn't be a cost. It would alter the cost or the expense to the sewer levy, right?
It would affect the amount of sewer revenue to the town, yes.
Yeah, greatly.
which we would have to, which we would have to make up with additional costs for our water costs.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
One way or another.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a comment, this is such a frustrating thing because we're all affected. We're all homeowners in the town, so we're all affected by the sewer and the water charges. And I know our goal is to try to find the most accurate and the most fair way for everyone to pay on this, because we do have high operational costs as well as far as sewer and water. It's just, I know the first one looks so accurate, but you know, as Councillor Rempel was saying, you have to pass that cost on to the consumer who puts the meter in, and then if there's a shortfall, we have to look at extra billing as far as sewer usage then.
We're
To the chair.
through the, oh, sorry, Your Worship, if I may, through the chair,
Yes.
Your Worship. So we're operating a deficit of $378,000, so we're subsidizing the system at the present time to $378,000. And if we reduce further revenues on the sewer side, we will end up subsidizing it even further. But why are we subsidizing it in the first place?
Because the sewer bills would go up.
That's right. So everybody's subsidizing it now. So if we put it on the actual, if we, how did this go? I gotta be careful how I say this. I better stop while my head.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm gonna end up the same way as I did the other day in your office. Talking myself into a circle here. But we are subsidizing it by $378,000 right now.
The full expenses and revenue I've stated there.
Steve, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councillor Stoll.
Thank you. I know the answer to this, and you've given this answer to council before, but I'm going to ask you to repeat it again. Why do we bill the way we do now, in your opinion? What is the reason why we use consumption of water in regards to sewage costs?
It's the only way of billing. We do not meter the flow of sewage. All towns bill based on water. Some towns do some sewer averaging.
Thank you. This is the fairest way that you've been able to come up with,
yes,
in regards to how to bill for sewage.
Yes. And it really is the only way to bill for sewage.
Unless you flat bill.
Unless you
flat
bill.
rate too.
Yeah, there's different methods of billing, but
yeah,
it's the most equitable based on consumption and water conservation.
Councillor Pugh.
Oh, that was
Councillor
Rocky. Then I have a question.
Then Councillor Pugh.
Thank you, Your Worship. This council made a decision a year ago on the use of second water meters. I don't think we should be sitting here second guessing ourselves. The only option that we can play with on this page here is option number 5, and I suggest we stick to it.
Councillor Ripple, are you satisfied? Have you got your opinion across, do you think?
Oh, no, I'm not, Your Worship. Is that a new policy procedural here that we just passed? No, Your Worship, we are already subsidizing it. It doesn't matter whether we put this, why don't we put it onto the sewer bill itself? The taxpayer's paying for it anyway. So give them the true facts. Why would we hide that $378,000 somewhere else?
We're not hiding it.
Well, the taxpayer is paying for it anyway, so why don't we put the true cost of what it costs to operate our sewer facilities, our sewer effluent facilities, we put the true value on there.
What you're arguing is that the person that uses 60 cubic meters per month, you as a low user, you should subsidize that.
Well, what I'm saying here is we're currently under the current system the way it is right now. The taxpayers are subsidizing it by $378,000.
So you want the.
We should reflect the true cost of operating that facility. Same as we do with water.
It is reflected if you break it down. It's reflected.
Are we subsidizing the water?
I didn't bring water amounts with me I hadn't anticipated discussing.
We're talking the sewer only.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is we should have the true cost of operating a facility in here, and that should be everybody, every taxpayer, or every user should be paying that additional. I'm not trying to get our sewer rates up. I'm trying to get them down, but we're showing here that we're not even charging the true amount that it is costing us for that to use our sewer facilities.
So you want to go back to the flat rate, basically.
This is a nightmare. I'm trying to get the sewer costs down, and the only way we can do that is by subsidizing it some more.
Question.
We're already subsidizing it enough.
Councilor Sobel.
Thank you. Mel, where do you see the future of our sewaging costs going? I know you and I can't predict the future, but is that number, is that a moving number, that deficit?
Well, the costs of running the sewer operations, as I said in the pages here, 60 or 65% are pretty much flat fixed costs. Mm-hmm. So as the volume of water increases, I don't anticipate the cost to go up unless something significant happens to drive a higher cost, such as increased standards to the waste. As we've seen in the past, we had to construct a new plant in order to accommodate the standards. Mm-hmm. I'm not anticipating it'll change significantly for the foreseeable future.
Councilor Field.
Following Councilor Rempel's ideas or comments, if 65% of the costs is the operation of the sanitary sewer utility and it's fixed, then in the winter, and I've been trying to figure this out so long, there's so many options on this. Should our sewer, what we pay, should it not decrease in the winter months then, since we're not operating any outside watering? Or is it just a matter of communicating that 65% of the costs of the sewer system are going to be absolutely fixed? Is there a way we can communicate that better to the public?
I think we can always communicate better. The numbers that we look at are based on an annual contract and an annual amount and an annual amount of water that gets utilized. So we kind of fix.
If there was a, sorry Mel, if there was a way to show the average Joe public like myself on my bill in the winter that 65% is going to be fixed based on the cost of the sewer treatment plant, the operations of it, then you'd know exactly where your dollar is going and you'd still see your water usage. Is that correct? Am I following this right?
Well, the rates don't change month
Yeah.
by month or even seasonally. We fix them for a longer period of time and go with that. And that's expressed in an annual budget.
Mm-hmm.
What's the stop? Go ahead, Councilor Rimple.
Through the chair to Mel. So we know ahead of time what it's going to cost us to operate that system for the year.
Within a certain
Yes.
degree of accuracy.
Basically like
yes.
our property taxes.
Yes.
And so why couldn't we work that with in such a way to divvy it up into 12 equal payments, same as we do with the taxes then. And the water consumption, as it increases, the user pays a higher rate for his water bill. And the town makes up revenue that way.
The customer can always pay an equal amount on his bill if he wishes. We do have a budget plan.
Yeah, that's not. I understand, but that's not what I'm getting at.
Okay.
What I'm getting at is if it's costing us $303 million or $4 million every quarter, we collect $1 million from throughout the year. So everybody, the sewer amount is always the same every month. But the water rate can go up and down depending on the usage.
Flat fee again. You're saying equal to everybody, Councilor Rimple?
Yes.
Yeah, that's flat fee. Back to the flat fee.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go one step further. If I recall, many years ago, we used to not even have it this way, and the sewer bill went directly on taxes. Let's eliminate the sewer bill and just charge everybody the taxes. The cost, operational costs on the sewer.
As part of your property tax?
That's part of your property taxes. Eliminate the sewer bill, period. You have the water. Can you, I'm saying under the MGA, I don't see any, there's no rule saying we can't do that.
It would have to be, you'd end up putting it in the budget with no revenue. Total cost of running the sewer would be a town obligation. And then you would be moving it to property taxes for everybody based on assessable values with no initiative to conserve water.
No. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but no, you're a good point here. And so the water usage takes care of itself. I don't like the idea of the water and sewer being tied together. They should be separate. They should be separated.
I disagree completely. You're penalizing low users of water water when you do that. Their sewage bills are going to go so high it's going to quadruple. Those people that are sitting two people in a house that go to the bathroom a couple times a day and use very little water and don't have a backyard. Those are the people that are going to be suffering for this. The only way to do the sewage is to have it linked to water usage. Heavy use water heavy. There's an assumption that majority of that water is going to go into go to the sewer. I get that that's not the case. It's not accurate. It's not happening in real life. Not all the water you use is going to. I know that. I get it. But that's the only way we can be fair with this.
I don't like the idea of penalizing the low end users either.
No, it's what's going to happen with the flat rate. I'll tell you that much.
But then, and I'm not saying that I'm in favor of it, but it's the same as any other service that we have. Everybody pays for it whether they use it or not. And
this is the fair way. But this is the fair way.
There is no fair way when it comes to essential services.
No, but there's a
It's
step
clearer.
deeper. There's a step deeper in this. We're talking environmentally here too. It's not really apples and oranges.
Well, I asked, for administration to bring it to council so we could discuss it.
Yeah.
And, I
No, that's
hope
fair.
that
So we
we,
can-
discuss it and come up with some kind of a fair conclusion to this.
Councillor
Well,
Sobel.
I'm willing to accept the water information, the sewage information for information only, but I would like to direct administration with council's support to change our bylaw in regards to having our water meters changed every 15 years rather than 10. Let's at least get that one out of the way.
Is that a motion?
Yes, it is. I move that. Well, I think it's just by direction. Is it not just to have the bylaw brought back?
Bylaw. It is within the bylaw. We would have to amend the bylaw.
Yes.
So you need a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I move to amend the water bylaw. Yeah. So it's just by direction to bring the water meter back. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Do we want to discuss this other issue? How long do you want to go on it? It's up to council. Councillor Gill.
I guess through the chair to everyone. I guess I just don't know. I know that 65% of the cost is a fixed nature on the sewer system and operating it. I know Councillor Sobel is saying it's going to, kick the price up high for a lot of users, and yet that's how we're being charged. That's how our bill, as far as the operation is coming to the town. That 65% is a fixed nature as far as running the sewer plant and using it and the operations of it. Is there any way that we could find out what this type of a pricing would do to typical home bills compared to what we're doing now? Is there any way to compare them so that we can see how each of these options, pricing options, would affect the same properties based on what they've done in the past? For example, use my house, for example, as far as water usage, what my bill would be the way we're currently doing it, and what if we applied the 65% rate, fixed rate, and then 35 as far as water usage? Is there any way of finding out how much the cost would be, or the difference between the two?
How do you know that the person is all of a sudden going to recklessly use more water?
I don't know, and I guess I'm just saying if you base it on past usage, that would be a starting point to see how it would affect the bill. But is there any way to do that for us to find that out?
So what you're saying is amend the amount of fixed monthly charge with either a greater or a lower variable rate?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is you've got here on option 3 that 65% of all of our costs on our water usage or our sewer bill is fixed. It's fixed to support and operate the sanitary sewer treatment, or sanitary treatment. So if that's the case, and we were to have house A done twice, can we find out how much it would cost house A based on previous water usage or whatever they're doing right now, and you're using the 65% flat rate and the rest is water usage versus strictly water?
What we're doing
currently. Is there any way to find that out?
Yeah, we could.
Because in my own head, I can't really think in my own case which is going to be better or which is going to be incredibly expensive. I just don't know.
Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, just a question to the chair, Demel, in regards to other communities. What do they do in regard to water and sewer? Or have you any knowledge on that aspect?
We've done some sampling. Strathmore is a little bit higher than some of the other communities, but some of the other communities have caught up and are equal to what we are currently. We have been higher in the past and they've caught up.
I suppose the other communities do averaging like we do now?
Some do and some don't. There's who averages. Chestermere, Airdrie, and Brooks do not sewer average. High River, Okotoks, and Cochrane have some form of averaging. So it's kind of 50-50 on the number of communities.
That's sorry, through the chair, that's seasonal only averaging or what?
They have some form, and I'm not sure of the form of sewer averaging. We just inquired whether they do any sewer averaging.
Those 4 communities, could you get the bylaw or the formula?
Certainly, we can get the bylaw.
And maybe it would enlighten us on how to. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. The only thing I caution though is in regards to Councillor Fuel's suggestion to use his place. Not that there's anything wrong with his place, but what is I think more telling is not to use an average user. What is more telling is to use users on either end of the spectrum, see where their rates are going to go. So the lower end of the rate of the users, if we were to switch over to a flat rate.
Lower, medium, and high.
Well, I'm more interested in lower and high, and what's going to happen is, of course, you're going to see this is what I suspect. But that's the average. I think the average isn't going to probably won't switch very much, but it's the low users, and that is where I have a real concern when a person is a low user and they get really hit hard with sewaging costs. I mean, then I have to scratch my head and say, well, that really is not fair, and that's what this system alleviates. This system does not, because it's based on water usage, it does not do that to the low users.
But you remember the percentage, Mel, of your low users? It was quite high, wasn't it?
We had, and I'm just going by memory, I think the average user used 13 cubes per month.
The average?
I think it
that would be about close, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there were some that were down 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And then there was an equal number.
40s.
It looked like a real good bill curve, and you'd be familiar with that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Councillor Field and Councillor Rempel.
Okay, thanks, Your Worship. Hopefully this won't go on too much longer. I see your point, Councillor Sobelin, that a large bar and restaurant is going to benefit from having a 65% flat rate compared to having a 1-bedroom suite at Chinook 3 Apartments. There's definitely going to be a difference in the pricing from the lower end to the higher end. And yet, in a way, it almost feels like if 65% of the costs is like 65% of our costs is a fixed nature to operate that system, in a weird way it makes sense too, because we're all part of trying to pay for this system, and the fact that we have a large operation bill each year, we all have to pay for that, and this is just such a difficult situation.
Well, let me put it out this way then. The City of Calgary wants us to pay for the operational costs of their water system for the past 10 years to the town of Strathmore. So the town of Strathmore should be responsible for all the operational costs of the City of Calgary, is what you're saying? That's where it comes down to. For the town of Strathmore?
I don't think I'm seeing it that way. I guess what I'm looking at is if we have fixed rates in order to operate that sewer system, then that makes sense that should be that part of a typical residence bill. And I understand that that someone who doesn't use much water is going to be paying that 65% usage fee for sewer.
They do that now.
I guess I'm not sure how to explain myself. It's just a frustrating thing. I want to make sure that we're we're billing people accurately and fairly. And I know one of the ways is to use water usage, is to use that as your billing system. It's just.
I want to relate back to the city of Calgary. I mean, if it's $20 million a year to operate the waterworks in the city of Calgary, you're saying what the way system that you want to go now, Strathmore should pay that.
No, because I don't live in Calgary. Strathmore.
No, they're charging us now.
They are charging us.
Yeah,
now.
they're going to charge. Yeah, but only on a percentage basis for what we use, which is fair. But if you want to go the whole city, they're charging us now. And that's why I'm using Calgary. And that's what you're asking.
How are their residents being charged for their sewer portion? Do we know that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Is this where I've fallen into a trap, Mel?
The city of Calgary at one time had many, many flat rate users, no water meters. I'm one of them. The city has embarked on a program to install water meters throughout every resident. They are going by community, implementing water meters. And then the customer will be charged for water and sewer based on usage. The city of Calgary does not do sewer averaging. It is all based on the amount of water that flows through the meter.
So
we have a spring workshop coming up in 10 days, Your Worship. I wonder if we could accept this information from Mel for information and perhaps carry on. Maybe we can get additional information as well.
Can you get the information from those communities we asked for?
Yes.
Okay. Is council happy with that? We can go on all night here.
Yeah.
Council Rempel?
Whatever. Yeah, we'll discuss it some more.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Mel. 8.2, Energy Procurement Consultant Agreement, page 101.
It's a good news story.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
The town of Strathmore currently purchases energy, and that's natural gas and electricity, through a retail contract through TransAlta and AMSC. Other communities, such as Lethbridge, Okotoks, Jasper, Banff, Canmore, Warrenville, have engaged the services of Energy Services International to obtain better pricing on energy products, pre-buying the amounts into the future, or committing to buy the amounts into the future. The town of Strathmore in 2012 paid $1,465,000 for the purchase of electricity, including the associated distribution costs and demand fees. It's estimated that 50% of the bill, approximately, is payment for the commodity of electricity, and the balance being the demand charge and other fees. Something similar is happening with natural gas, except our cost is significantly less for natural gas. Administration is asking that council authorize the mayor and CAO to sign a consultant agreement with Energy Associates, authorizing the purchase of electricity and natural gas in the future, starting with 2014. Those purchases would be made in the interim, or committed to in the interim between now and 2014, as good prices permit.
And I forgot, how long was that agreement for?
Three. Is it
3 years?
Recommendation 3.
Okay. Y'all have the recommendation. Council, any questions? Go ahead, Council Dole.
Well, actually, just a comment. First of all, Mel, I just want to congratulate you and your team for bringing this to council. I think this is a wonderful opportunity, and I think it will really make a difference in the bottom line in the future. I think this is an excellent plan. And the only comment I would make is in regards to the budget, consulting costs for dealing with what's their name? The new company, which is International Energy Services International, is $24,200. But it's also noted that at the present time we're paying just about $24,000 in regards to retail administration fees that we would be paying. So in regards to administration costs, it's not costing us anything more. Plus, we have this opportunity to really get some save some big dollars on future energy. So I'm totally in support of this.
Any questions, comments? Not? Looking for a motion.
I'd move that council authorize the mayor and CAO to sign the consultant agreement with Energy Associates, Inc., authorizing the purchase of electricity and natural gas commencing for 2014.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Appointment of auditor, page 123. Al?
Thank you.
You're earning your money tonight.
The Municipal Government Act requires that council appoint an auditor. The Chartered Accountants Young, Park and McNabb, LLP, has completed the audits for the years 2010, 2011, and 2012, just recently. In 2010, I invited 6 firms to respond to an RFP for audit services for a 3-year period. That 3-year period now is completed. Our present audit firm of Young, Park and McNabb has provided a proposal for a further 3 years using a base amount of $18,250. It's interesting to note that the second lowest fee in 2010 was $20,000. So this fee that they're proposing still is lower than the second lowest fee. The fee for the 2014 and 2015 year will be $18,250 plus a CPI factor, not to be more than 5% at maximum. Other professional services, such as reports, audits on grants, and the audit on the LAPP are required periodically. This will be engaged on a separate fee as needed situation. Administration has sought a legal opinion to determine if a further open bid process is required, and we received an opinion that it is not. Administration is asking that council appoint Young, Park and McNabb as auditors for a 3-year period of time for the 2014, 15, and 16 year.
Thank you. Questions? Not, we're looking for a motion.
Your Worship.
Go ahead.
Okay, Your Worship, I would move that council appoint Young, Park and McNabb LLP as auditors for the town of Strathmore and authorize the mayor and CAO to sign the letter of engagement on behalf of the town of Strathmore.
Y'all heard the motion. No further discussion or questions? Not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mel. Page 5, East Calgary Regional Water Line, January 12th, break update. Jesse.
Evening, Jesse.
Evening. At our last council meeting, council had requested an update on the activities associated with the water break at January 12th and where our current status is. I wanted to kind of give a bit of a disclaimer. We're in the midst of an insurance investigation associated with the break. My update this evening will be largely based on factual information in terms of the progress to date. I prefer not to upset the investigation by discussing the circumstances of the break or the activities thereafter, but just to give an update on the progress to date on various activities and where we're at. So basically after the break, we began the insurance investigation activities. The town has liability insurance associated with our underground infrastructure, but our current policy does not cover the assets themselves. So our current insurance does not cover the pipe. So the repairs are not an insurable claim through our existing policy for insurance. But we are covered through liability in the event that there are damages that the town incurs or that we are deemed to have been the cause for those damages to other parties that experience loss. We are also named on the builder's risk policy for the reservoir construction. So with the construction of the Wildflower Reservoir, part of the contract with the construction company was to take out a builder's risk insurance for the site and the works on the site for the time that the construction is underway. The town is named as an insurable party to that policy because we are owner to the site. So we're named on that as an insured on the builder's risk policy as well. Because we've had losses associated with the break, in particular engineering costs associated with the delay on the reservoir construction and other costs, we've placed a claim associated with those losses or those costs that we're incurring as a result of the delay on the reservoir construction due to the break. And we have gone through and worked with the contractor to discuss the implications of the break and what the actual scope of work for repairs, and that work is well underway in terms of repairs to the reservoir construction itself. What's come to light in recent events, through the insurance policy on the builder's risk, they hired a forensics engineering firm that do investigative work into root cause analysis. They've completed their report and it's been provided to the insurer for the builder's risk policy. We've been told now that we will not be privy to that information because there has been a claim registered against the town. So the town has been named in a claim by the contractor as a party potentially responsible for the break. We're investigating now what that legitimacy of that claim is and what the basis for that claim against the town is at this point. We're also looking into the capability for one policy to sue another policy when they're in the same name. So we're named under a builder's risk policy, we're named under our liability policy. How can we sue ourselves? That's one of the situations that we're looking into. We're also looking into, it's been determined that the cause of the break is tensile overload on the pipe. So basically pressure, tensile pressures being applied to the pipe that caused it to fracture. But in terms of the detail of what could have caused that tensile overload, we've not been able to ascertain exactly what the root cause of that is based on conversations with the insurance parties. So it's been claimed that it could be anything from pressure in the line, ground settling, improper bedding during installation, damage during construction of the adjacent site. There's a number of different factors that basically we've been told could be the root cause of that situation. We're investigating those. We're working with our insurer to basically determine what our involvement and what our actions as a result of the claim against the town are, and that work will continue until we have some resolution.
Questions from council? Press, this is all without prejudice.
I move this be accepted for information.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried.
Thanks, Jesse. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Page 129, RCMP priorities.
Yeah, Your Worship, that's my issue. I continue to be concerned about the traffic on Highway 1 and and I know we're making efforts to try to resolve this. One of the methods we're using is through enforced traffic enforcement by the RCMP. I just noted that it doesn't really make much sense to look for an update every time I see Sergeant or soon-to-be Staff Sergeant Riley around. So I'm hoping to just have a report included in his annual performance plan that he reports to Council with some details in regards to Highway 1 traffic efforts specifically. So my motion would be that administration forward correspondence to Sergeant Riley of the RCMP, Strathmore RCMP detachment, requesting that details pertaining to enforcement efforts for Highway 1 within the town limits and results of those efforts be included when reporting on priority number 2, which is the traffic priority in the RCMP annual performance plan.
You heard the motion. That's a motion.
It is a motion.
All heard the motion. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Council committee reports. Council Rempel.
Well, surprised, Your Worship. You called me first. I actually did have a few meetings this last month. The Family Center Advisory Board. We went through a number of things there, and of course, most of it pertaining to the Alberta Cup, which was held on last week and over the weekend, which was a very successful event for the entire community. They've tentatively called a meeting for May 17th, I believe it is, to give us the lowdown on all the extra money that they've made and what they're going to do with it, and we're also looking forward to next year because the Alberta Cup has been awarded to Strathmore for a 2-year term. So we had the significant expense of constructing a press box this year, which we hopefully won't have to do next year. And there are other things that probably won't have to happen. We had a tremendous volunteer base. I think everybody was quite satisfied with the volunteers and how they performed. Getting away from the Alberta Cup, there was another venue that's being looked at, and that is the Ringette, the provincials bringing it to Strathmore. So they're working on trying to secure that for hopefully for a couple of years, for whatever it's going to be. The other committee was the Names Advisory Committee. We had a meeting last week on names for Prairie's Edge, for West Creek, and Lakewood Meadows. Thank you. And we have since received a letter from Prairie Merchants on one of the names of the streets that they had requested that we name a certain name that doesn't follow the criteria of our policy, and are currently in the process of working with them and hoping that they will resubmit another name that is more suitable for that area. And for anybody that doesn't quite doesn't know how we arrive at the names is quite simple, actually. Any subdivision like Westmount, for instance, all the street names start with a W. Thorncliffe, all the street names starts with a T. In Prairie Merchant, Prairie Estates, everything starts with a P. And so they have asked for a name that is quite important to them, but it doesn't start with the letter P. So we are hoping that we can convince them, well, not convince them, get them to resubmit another name that starts with a P for that street, and hopefully name a place, whether it be a park, maybe a commercial venture or a C-store, something of that nature, maybe gas bar. I'm not sure what all they're planning there. Maybe they could name that place after that desired name that they want to use to draw the focus to that community. And so we're waiting for them to reply. And that's it for me, Your Worship.
Thank you. The ring at number is for 214.
We don't know. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But it's very early in the stages.
Also heard of rumors about a lacrosse tournament. Is that?
Well, it's yeah, right. I think Tracy probably could enlighten us on some of that if we asked that of administration.
Administration?
There's a large lacrosse tournament the first week of June, and it will be very large. And we're working on that.
Great.
But not confirmed. Well, not confirmed yet.
Oh, the one is.
Oh, okay, that
Yeah.
was, okay.
Great.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't aware of that, and I'm just new on that committee, Council Sobel probably, he was my predecessor on that, and I don't know if you were aware of that.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. I just.
Oh, sure you were.
Okay.
No, I was not aware of it, Your Worship, so
yeah. Thank you. Council Field.
Okay, thanks, Your Worship. The library board meeting highlights. The board passed a 10% raise for the library staff, excluding the new library director, and she is on a three-month probationary period. The Family Fun Day and the annual book sale were very successful, with the book fair bringing in $500. There was a Food for Fines project, which consisted of people bringing food items in exchange for late fines. That went really well. They brought in a great amount of food. And the library reached an agreement with Crowther Memorial Junior High where the students would also get a public library card at the start of the school year, and they do have the option to opt out. Then I went to the Marigold Library System AGM Saturday morning, April 20th. We received the audited report of 2012 year. There were various awards for long service employees. We had a PowerPoint presented to us on the highlights of the 2012 year in the Marigold Library System, and we had elections for 2013 positions. The Wheatland Housing Authority, we had our meeting last week. It was a different night for us. The audited financial statements, are you okay over there? You're okay? Do you have to take all this down? Wow, you're fast. The audited financial statements are out and they've been sent over to the town office, and any citizen can ask for these from a board member or by talking with the CAO. And then there was discussion about the role of board members and how involved they should be regarding citizen complaints or inquiries. And we have been advised that the Wheatland Housing Authority is a board that's a policy-setting one, and we should only become involved with certain situations if the CAO is not able to solve them. And then the rest of the meeting, the bulk of the meeting, was in camera. I went to an initial meeting. I'm on the Tour of Alberta committee, which the Tour of Alberta, I think a lot of people know, is on September 6th. Mr. Scott Carlson and I are going to be working on school involvement in the race day. There are many riders who are going to be of Tour de France caliber. We're currently in the early stages of planning the event and side events and things on Main Street. And the committee was here yesterday, I believe, to tour the various sites. They came to the high school as well. And I don't know, were you guys, were any of you with that tour?
There's a couple of them, yeah. I was there.
How did it go? Do you want to add anything there?
I think that's the wrong,
Yeah, it's the wrong one.
group.
55 plus.
It was 55.
Oh, sorry, it's not, yeah, the tour was, the tour is for the plus 55 summer games. Sorry about that. The rest was the Tour of Alberta. My apologies. So that's the end of that. Youth Club. Our various programs are running. We have an after-school program that's at capacity. Summer camp registration is open. We're having a lot of success there with applicants. I'm just giving you a quick rundown on some of the programs. We have the after-school program where you can get help with your homework from high school students. They don't actually do your homework, but they help you with it. We have an anger management group, in case any of you gentlemen are interested in signing up. No, it's actually for youth, sorry. And we have a program called Extreme Kids, which is working well as well. Our fundraising, we have, I think a lot of you know, we have a big project coming up in June. On June 14th, we have the Yuck Yucks night with 2 comedians. It is going really well. Tickets are selling briskly, and we are pretty well expecting a sellout to occur, so that should be good. And there'll be some silent auction items brought there as well. And I believe that's all of my committees for last month.
Thank you. Any questions? Not? Councillor Hamilton.
Mine will be very brief, Your Worship. April 29th this year we had the Chamber of Commerce meeting. The interim president has been elected for 3 months. We're starting a campaign to get more board members and to elect a permanent president. Heritage Days Committee was struck, and the theme that the Chamber is looking at is the Ag Society. It's their 40 years anniversary, and we're trying to partner with the town and also with the Ag Society. I spoke briefly with the manager at the Heritage Days, and she's quite enthusiastic about it. The new president is putting together an operational budget, and there was a new hire of an administrative assistant, which will greatly help in promoting the Chamber. That was it for the Chamber. In regards to COP, I had a conversation with Councillor Sobel in regards to concerns from various citizens, which I had basically a one-on-one with one of the members of the Citizens on Patrol. They are still very active. They're looking for more members, so I think Councillor Sobel, you're in contact with the president, and she is.
Actually, there's a meeting tonight.
Okay, very good. And we'll go from there. No meeting with Bow Valley, and no meeting with Communities in Bloom as well. Just to touch briefly on the 55 Plus Games tour, Councillor Sobel and I were part of that tour, and just getting a feeling and judging from the questions that were asked by the tour people, I think we have a very good chance of securing that.
I was there for breakfast.
Free breakfast day. That's my report to Your Worship.
Thank you. No, that was a real good group that came down for the 55 plus. I'm quite excited about that. No other questions, comments? If not, Councillor Rocky.
Thank you, Your Worship. Wademza attended a specially called meeting April 18th. The Wademza board met with Fred Keplik from the province of Alberta, Rennie Lessard and Nick Thane from Calgary South Region, Alberta Health Services. Both sides went through and compared costing on EMS delivery service. Good discussion came through on both our sides. However, no compromise. Alberta Health Services staying firmly put on their number, and we are still trying to get up to our number. Meetings to continue, so I guess it's not a done deal yet. The board did unanimously agree that we will continue to go and we will not divest to Alberta Health Services. United Way, I forget the night of the meeting, but we elected our Jennifer as our chair. After discussions with Calgary United Way Partnership, we increased our grant funding up to the $30,000 amount where it was supposed to be. Upcoming board meetings set for policy development, as the board seems to be a little bit split on funding organizations with high salary costs. We discussed fundraising events coming up for the year, and that was about all at that meeting. Wademza meeting in April, the board met, sorry, I did that one. Handy bus meeting, April 22nd. Financials are looking very good, as Mel can attest to. Operation costs on the 6 vehicles for March came in at around $1,100. Client trips came in at 509. Several donations coming through, as was stated in the papers. The estate of Barb Johansson came in with quite a sizable amount of $40,000. Carsland Booster Club came in with some money. Brett Wilson family donated. The Legion ladies came up last week with a $1,000 donation. I did request at that meeting for the 55 plus seniors site visit if we could use a bus. I don't know if that happened. It did happen. Good. We have a casino booked for September 22nd, 23rd in Calgary, looking for volunteers as usual. And that was it for me.
Thank you. Any questions, Councilor Rocky?
The date for the casino or?
September 22nd and 23rd.
Thank you. Councilor Sobel.
Strathmore Wheatland Addiction Team meeting was held April 11th, and I was present. To date, funding for the current year in the form of grants has been received from Alberta Health Services, FCSS, and Brett Wilson Foundation. The slogan boards were discussed. It has been decided that a third board will start being used by SWAT in September, with this one advertising slogans in the rural area. Preparations continue to have the popular Kids and Drugs, which is a drug information course focused at parents, take place in the fall. Advertising for this event will begin in the late summer. The group continues in their efforts to develop a website. For Strathmore Assembly for Youth, a meeting was held April 10th, and I was in attendance, as well as His Worship. This month, the students chose to debate the issue of prohibiting smoking in public places where there are children, such as parks, etc. After some very informative discussion, the vast majority of those present felt this was a good thing and they may be bringing this to council sometime in the future to see if a bylaw could be incorporated with our town for this issue. Second issue of debate was in regards to whether a performing arts building would be well utilized if one was to exist in Strathmore. There was unanimous support for this idea, and most felt it would benefit both the town and the surrounding communities a great deal. The group continues in their efforts to have Strathmore Pathway app up and running for this summer. And lastly, they are on a recruitment drive to try and attract other Strathmore students to join SAY. If there's anyone listening who is interested, please get a hold of myself and I will get you connected to the right people. Calgary Regional Partnership, there was an all-day workshop held on April 16th. I was unable to attend. 2015, this has been touched on, the 55 Summer Games. Just for everyone's information, there was our staff, members of the bid committee, as well as some volunteers from the community, have done a lot of work on this, and in fact had council, some members of council on April 16th take a dry run to the various facilities in Strathmore. And on April 30th, the selection committee that was yesterday came to Strathmore, and once again, we toured the town facilities, and a presentation was made to them. And as Councillor Hamilton said, I feel that the committee was very impressed with our facilities and the enthusiasm being shown for this event. I do, however, also want to personally thank Tracy Simpson and Jennifer Swatsky and other members of the bid committee for doing such a great job on the facility tour. That was excellent, well done. Tour of Alberta Bike Race. There was a meeting on April 3rd, and I'm not sure if that's the one you were talking about, Councillor Field, but committee members as well as organizers for the race were in attendance. Many details were discussed, but probably the most important one being the proposed route. So this is scheduled to be made public in the near future, but it's I think one that everyone will be happy with. I was very impressed with the level of expertise and experience that the tour organizers possess, and feel very confident this is going to be a great event.
Thank you. Any questions, Councillor Sobel? Not? My turn. I'd like to congratulate Acting Staff Sergeant Kevin Riley. He has now got the new position of Staff Sergeant for the town of Strathmore. I was on the selection committee, and there was 6 members that had applied, and he came out in the one that's selected with a lot of factors involved, and it's really quite an intense selection process, and I was quite impressed with it. Anyway, great hand to him, and he lives here in the community, intends to stay here in the community for the rest of his life, and is a very enthusiastic member of the RCMP. So I'd like to give him a big hand and welcome him to down to Strathmore. Also, I was asked to attend the Happy Gang meeting, which I always enjoy doing. It's always a challenge talking to these people. Now these folks are very, very direct, and I tell you, they can ask you some pretty tough questions. So I always enjoyed doing that. And another thing that I found out, they have we all can take lessons from them. They have $29,000 in their savings account, which is quite a little feat for the small group like they have. Approximately 110 members they have, by the way, and they're just doing a great job and really ask some pretty tough questions, and I always enjoy going. I explain to them what's happening about town usually, and they always come back with some good answers and suggestions. As far as the CRP is concerned, I'm on a special committee with them in regards to what's happening with CRP. I was at a meeting with Minister Griffiths here 3 weeks ago, and he informed us that we better all get together and play right in the sandbox, as he states it, and if we don't come to a suitable agreement with all members surrounding Calgary, then they're going to mandate that we join CRP, whether we like it or not. So we have a committee going to see what the pros and cons are, and how we can get together, and that includes the rules, and how we get together and work together. That meeting is a closed meeting, so I'm not at liberty right now to say what's going on in it. But it's and I got another meeting tomorrow. The mandate is that we got to have answers to Minister Griffiths by June 30th, and I don't think that will happen because there's a lot of discussion on it. Anyway, it's ongoing and challenging. That's my report. Any questions? None. I was looking for a motion to approve.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I forgot. Pardon me. I forgot about to mention. Are you going to mention about the healthcare? What's happening with healthcare and?
Try and bring that up.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, on economic development, during April, the following building permits were approved: Starbucks, as we know, and it's going out by the day's end there. Expansion of Alron Mini Storage. If you know where GNS conveyor belt is, going down to the recycle yard. Anyway, he's added 31 additional units last fall, and now he's going to put another 18. So that's really growing down there. There were 2 new houses in the ranch area, permits approved. Now in the next day or two, there will be 21 single-story dwelling units at Sagewood approved. It's all there, it's ready. Harry will be signing those tomorrow or the next day, so they'll be going ahead with those 21 single units. Okay?
Well,
Thank you. Councillor Rempel.
Question through the chair to Dwight. Is there a building permit or something across the highway by the old mill pub.
You mean the old mill pub itself?
Yes. Is there there's quite a bit of activity there. Have they applied for anything or as far as building permit goes? Or?
I would have to check on that. I assume they have. But basically, they'll be moving the motorcycle shop that's just south there a little bit into that building. And they're renovating the building.
Thanks.
No further questions?
Scratching my head.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
Your Worship.
Councilor Sobel?
No, I just
Oh.
want to make
Okay.
sure.
You're going to speak on the
I got
health?
nothing else.
On both of them?
All three?
Both meetings?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, we had a meeting, we've had two recently with Jason Hale. And the one was held in here just yesterday. And we had two of the medical doctors here. And we had a total of 17 people. And we discussed what can we do at the hospital. We want to protect it. We want to make sure that it stays. What do you put in the area where the 23 units where the people are being taken out? There was all kinds of suggestions on what about this, this, or this. I think the majority felt we still want to get the emergency department expanded. And what we would like to see is that area where the 23 are moving out, that should be the emergency department. And the present emergency department should be for X-ray, lab work, and those kind of things. So that's what we're pushing. There was talk about, do we want to have those 23 beds become active care? But we can't because we don't have enough doctors to handle that. It just won't work. And they're saying, the doctors are saying, if we had to, we could maybe do 5 rooms more, but that's it. So anyway, we're still trying to find more doctors. I think one of the other things, the meeting we had up at the Chuck Mercer room the other night, is what do we do about the dispatch for ambulance is going to Calgary? No question. The guy was very blunt about it. It's going to happen. So then what do we do about the fire departments? Not only ours, but the rural fire departments. There's several options. You could do it out of Lethbridge. They've offered to do it. Calgary has offered to do it. Froms, which is like Turner Valley Black Diamond, would be interested in doing it. And we could do it here in the present building and all. There's quite a bit of cost, so we'd have to take a look, and council will have to get into that more in great detail on what we want to do, which option do we want to pick. It'd be ideal in lots of ways if the dispatch was still here for the fire departments, and we're going to have to discuss the costs on it.
What
Any other
DEMSA?
means? Pardon me?
What DEMSA?
In which aspect?
Well, the ambulances basically will be out of our control.
Yes, the ambulance service, of course, will probably be taken out to Calgary. And on the ambulances here, 3 of them are, the 3 newer ones are leased, and then the others are older ones. And I guess our worry is we don't want very many, well, we don't want any code reds. Code red means that there's no ambulance in town for a particular situation. And once it's taken over by the province, if they wanted to, they've been pretty clear on they could take it to Okotoks, Airdrie, wherever, if they need that particular ambulance. Another thing we talked about, when you're taken by ambulance into the hospital in Calgary, the paramedics or the EMTs have to stay with you until you're admitted to the hospital. And sometimes you'll wait in there, and the paramedics have to wait with you for sometimes several hours. That makes it difficult because we need those ambulances to get back out here. And the guy the other night mentioned that when they take it over, they could assign maybe 2 paramedics to handle 2 different ones. But according to our people, we do some of that right now anyway.
The timeline for when NEMSA to be disbanded is approximately sometime this fall.
That's what they're saying. We're trying to stall it as long as we can.
We're working diligently in all 3 aspects, but we're not getting a lot of traction on any of them. Councilor Sobel?
Just to add, you know, to be fair, I mean, this is concerning and concerning at the same time, but there was some positives. I think there was some positives seen in the meeting. It was a long meeting, and there was a lot of people present, and there was a lot of ambulance people, EMTs, et cetera, present, and there were some positive comments from the EMTs. So I want to be fair of this. This is not. I don't want anyone getting the idea that we're going to wake up one day and we're not going to have any ambulances here. Right. One of the neat things about there's the new service will be that all ambulances are GPS equipped. That is going to allow the movement of ambulances in a more effective way. And instead of having, for instance, having an empty ambulance go by Highway 1 from Brooks to Calgary, and there being a patient waiting to transport here to Calgary, they can delay that. They can change the direction of that ambulance and have them stop and pick up a patient, therefore alleviating someone from going here. So it's not all negative stuff. There's some positive stuff going on there too.
And following up on Councillor Sobel's comments, some of the high-tech equipment they're putting in are things that we couldn't even afford. They're going to spend hundreds of thousands on the equipment, and it'll be pretty neat what they'll be able to do. And I want to say that we are very happy with the ambulance service we've had. We've had it for 25 years. It's been excellent. We're proud of it.
Any comments or questions?
No, thank you, Your Worship.
Okay.
I move that all committee reports be received as information, Your Worship.
Thank you. Y'all heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. I would like to go into camera. There's no consolidations, and we've done the questions between councillors. I'd like to go into camera for 10 minutes. We may.
Recess.
You want to recess? No. Okay, I'm going to camera for 10 minutes.
Sure.
Is there a 5-minute recess?
Well, what do we read?
Thank you for attending.
Can somebody move to go in camera?
I'll make a motion to move forward camera.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Carried.